And we're live. I've got a fantastic guest for you guys today. You guys are in for a special treat. We've got Donna McPherson. And I want to thank everybody for spending some time with us this afternoon. She's got some valuable information to share. So please hit the like button, love button, comment if you have a question for her. She's going to be talking about PPP and some other various aspects of business and accounting and money management. Also, please tag somebody in this that might actually find this useful, because then this way they can come back later and watch it. How's it going, Donna?
Pretty good, Matt. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. So Donna, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what you do?
Oh my God, that's a loaded question.
Of course it is.
Oh. So Matt, you know what I do. I'm trained as a CPA, but I provide business and money strategies to help small business owners and entrepreneurs make as much money as they can in their business and then protect as much of it as they can from the IRS, which is always the goal, to make it and keep it.
So it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep.
It's about how much is left after expenses, and then how much you're able to bank.
Which is definitely important. So and I want to thank everybody for spending. So Donna, you're a CPA, correct?
Correct.
So how exactly did you get into doing that? Did you just wake up and say, hey, you know what, this is what I want to do?
Actually, I wanted to become a nurse, believe it or not. I wanted to become a nurse, but then at one point, and I started in college for training as a nurse, but then at one point, they told me that I would have to do internship and I could not work full time. And that was how I supported myself. So I was like, that's not going to work because this lady needs to work. And so I switched over to accounting because I was in a bank. I was a teller in a bank at that time. And one of my coworkers was going to school for accounting. And she said, Donna, why don't you give that a shot? And I said, okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all the way to the top. And to me, the top was becoming a CPA. Although I was a little bit deterred because they told me it would take 10 years going part-time. But my theory was the 10 years would come and go, and I would have wished that I had done it. So I just plunged in and did it. Never regretted it.
Okay. So we've got a few people on with us already. Gladys said,
hey, Gladys, my girl, Gladys.
And one of my buddies, Ruel, he's actually a real estate investor. So we've got some people check in with us. Fatina, Ruel, a couple other people are watching. Hey guys, thanks for coming on with us. Hit the like button, love button, tag somebody in this that could benefit, because Donna's got some fantastic things that she's going to share. We're just getting warmed up right now with Donna. So Donna, one of the main things that you've been talking about is that you're a profit and tax strategist. So correct. What exactly does that mean for any of our people that are out there that are self-employed and they say, you know what, I don't know if I need that. What exactly does that entail for them?
If you are self-employed, you absolutely need it, because as self-employed individuals, profit is our pay. Either you take it off the table up in the front, or it's what's left in the end. But my theory is, if you're in business and you're not getting profit, you're not getting paid. And your business cannot survive without profit. Profit is the lifeline of your business. Mm-hmm. It's what tells it what says how much we make. It's what says what our business is worth. If you are not going to have profit year after year, eventually your business will die.
So how do you help people with that?
Well, first, I help them generate the income, because it starts with making money, and then you optimize your operations so that you have profit left over, and profit that you can bank. It's not kind of like revenue minus expenses. It's really about what you can bank that will tell a mortgage specialist like you that I have enough money to pay for this debt. And we've had conversations about this. Sometimes, it's like a catch-22. You don't want to show profit or a lot of profit because you're scared you're going to have to pay a lot of tax. But if you don't show that profit, you're not setting yourself up as a really viable business and a business person who can run a business that is successful. Because if there's no profit, I wouldn't consider that successful unless you're a nonprofit, which has other meanings. But if you're in business to make money, you absolutely must have profit or you're not going to last.
So you help people analyze their business. I mean, a CPA basically just does all of the numbers. So you're a CPA profit and tax strategist, which is a little different than the term CPA or the title CPA, correct?
Well, I've done both. I've been on the side where you kind of like come from behind and you help figure out what went wrong or what went right. You crunch the numbers, you help do the budgets, then you come in the end and you say, okay, we said we were going to do this, did we actually do that? And then from that, what do we pay in taxes and stuff like that? I've done that, but it was not until I had my own business. As you know, I owned a restaurant, and that is a brick and mortar where you cannot fake it. You really have to be real about how you're going to do business. And it was then that I really learned what needed to happen in order for that business to sustain itself. And so having done that, I realized that what a lot of business owners need is the strategies up front to figure out how you're going to make the maximum amount of money that you can, and that what you're going to do to manage your costs so that you do have profit. And that the profit that you have, what are you going to do to protect it so you don't end up giving it back in unnecessary expenses and also giving it out to the tax people. You're going to pay the IRS, you're going to pay the state. We all know that. If you make profit, you're going to pay some tax. But you just have to manage it so that you minimize that tax and you can have more money in the bank.
So you help people actually analyze their business too, right?
Yes. One of the things that I do when I'm talking with someone about their business, I try to get an understanding of how you make money in your business. Like, how do you really make money? Do you sell something? Do you buy it and resell it? Do you use your skills, your talents? Do you provide a service that people need? How do you really make money? And then I help them look at what's the maximum amount of money that they can make from that thing that they do or that thing that they sell.
Now, I've heard you speak before, and that's kind of what you talk about. Like, a lot of times people think that they need to sell anything and everything under the sun, but you actually help people kind of focus in on what is it that you sell that's going to maximize your returns or your income.
Yeah, I usually say maximize your revenue potential, because we all have the potential to generate revenue. But when we know how much we can generate and what that thing that's going to allow us to generate it is, then you can really come up with a plan to make sure that you're using your skills, your talents, your resources to make the money that you can make.
I can only imagine when you actually tell a business owner that, hey, don't shrink what you're doing and only do these two things. They must look at you and say you're crazy, you know.
Absolutely. I recall I had a conversation with one of my clients. She was driving home and she called me and she said, I am so exhausted. Business is great, but I am tired all the time. So I said, okay, well, talk to me a little bit about this. How many clients do you have? She said, my customers, it's about 130 customers. And I asked her to send me a list. We were new. It was a new relationship. So I hadn't really understand her business yet. So she sent me her customer list, Matt. And she had about 130 customers. And when I did the analysis, which is what you're talking about, I found out that of the 130 customers that she had, 80% of her revenue was coming from 30. So the top 30 was generating 80%. And the remaining 100 was what was causing her to be so tired. So right away, we came up with a strategy to just look at the ones that were not really adding to our bottom line and either bring them up to where they can add to the bottom line to a level that it was worth it to keep them, or she needed to say goodbye and refer them to somebody else. Now, that was very tough for her to do because she had a relationship with most of them. But she finally saw that this is business. And if I'm going to grow my business, I don't want to grow my business with this kind of inefficiency, because that is what removes profit from the table.
That's a harder pill for somebody to swallow, but it kind of goes back to, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes. Hey, we've all done a little bit of that. I'm guilty of that. I have to drag myself away from certain things when I realize that it's not adding to the bottom line.
Well, it kind of goes back to, do one or two things and do them very well.
Yeah.
So you're actually a coach in essence.
I know you tell me that, but we've had this discussion. I'm a strategist. I prefer to call myself a strategist. I do some coaching because it's essential at times, but I really come up with the strategy, the plan, the steps, the action, and then maybe I do some coaching when there is some kind of, if there is a glitch or my client is feeling a little discouraged or feeling like it's impossible, then we do a little bit of coaching. But for the most part, if they have a plan and it's simple enough, they can usually follow it with lots of encouragement. So I guess I'm a little bit in the encouragement business rather than the coaching business.
Well, but that is coaching, though. I mean, if you're checking in with them and helping keep them focused, and you're not just a CPA, you're also a real estate investor too. Am I correct?
I have, yes. I've done my fair share, and they worked out really well, thank God.
So the nice thing is that if we have anybody watching that is an investor, which some of my audience is, she's a great person to connect with because she feels your pain. And she's been there, done that. You've owned a restaurant, you've had investment properties, rental properties, and so you understand all of this, which a lot of times people don't understand all of these things.
Mm-hmm. And I learned it I learned some of it from my background as an auditor. I was a financial auditor. So I knew how to look at the numbers and let the numbers tell the story of what you should and shouldn't do. And then I worked as a CFO, as a controller, and then a CFO doing international audits. So I actually spent some time in Croatia, right around the area of the Bosnian War, doing some audits for international relief organizations that were doing funding there. And then I came back and did some CFO stints. And so my background has always been in money and finance. And when I got to my restaurant, and then I realized that this is a whole new ballgame as a small business owner, a lot of the rules don't apply. You need strategy, you need techniques, you need to figure things out quickly, you need to always be on. And 3 months in, when I realized that we weren't making money, I had to get on the ball and figure out why. We were selling too many items. We were selling too many things that we loved, but wasn't necessarily what our customers loved. And when I found out that what they really loved was that curry chicken, because of the sauce, I tell people curry chicken saved our butts in that restaurant. That was our signature sauce, the curry. Mm-hmm. And we gave it to them in anything we could. And 7 years later, we sold that business for 3 times our initial investment.
Wow. So we have somebody checking in saying hi, Ayana.
Hey, Ayana.
She is a mobile notary. And Ruel asked, when and how should you start paying your kids?
That's a loaded one. Well, if you have a business and you can employ your kids, it makes sense, but you have to keep it below an amount so that they don't have to pay tax on it themselves. Or you can do that and you can include that in your tax planning to allow for that. But the best way to do that is with your tax preparer or your tax professional, because they can run certain scenarios and let you know whether or not it is advantageous to pay your kids, depending on the type of business you have also.
Guys,
and if you want a little more information on this, you can just do a private message to me, and I can ask you some specific questions and give you specific answers.
So for anybody watching, hit the like button, hit the love button, tag somebody that might find this useful, beneficial, share it, ask questions. We've got, when I do mortgages, I look at tax returns, and especially for a self-employed borrower, your tax returns are your income. And it's amazing. I see people that are self-preparing their tax returns that are business owners, because why? They want to save a couple of dollars, but really, like, your job is to help save them money with their tax returns, right?
Correct. And the danger in when they're doing it themselves is they're probably doing it from more of an emotional perspective, either thinking that I need to do this so I can save money, not to pay a preparer, or I need to do this maybe because, listen, I've been told I can't let you do this because there are certain expenses that I need to write off that you wouldn't agree with. And I was like, yeah, you should do it yourself. But the idea is your tax return is used in so many ways when you're a small business owner or when you're an entrepreneur. When you go for a mortgage, it determines if you're going to get approved to get your dream house. You don't want to mess that up. To save a few $100s on or whatever it is you'll pay for a preparer to set you up for the rest of your life, you are gambling your future on a few $100s. Matt, we've talked and you've asked me to take a look at returns, and I've told you that I don't know how they came up with these numbers, because sometimes what you think is the right thing to do, it's not, and it's going to do more harm than good. So get a professional. If you're not a professional, get a professional to do it for you.
Is it thousands of dollars to prepare a tax return for a self-employed person?
No, it's not. It's not. It depends on what else they have going on in their lives, but no, it shouldn't be.
So what they might not realize is that your tax returns, like you touched upon, it's not just it's buying a house. It's if you want to go out and get a business loan, things like that. Like you're helping people now with the whole the loans going on, right? The PPP, the payroll, is it the payroll protection program? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I was getting some background noise, so I wanted to put on my headset. Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, it's a little harder to hear you, but yes.
Okay. All right. Are you hearing me better now?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Oh, okay.
So I was saying, so a business owner, tax returns are used not just for getting a mortgage, but what if they want to go out and get business loans, correct? Like
Correct.
SBA, PPP?
Correct. And so what's happened with this, with the PPP, I have had conversations with people who applied for PPP, and when it was time to provide their documentation, they couldn't, because depending on the bank, some banks want a 941, but some banks will take your profit and loss statement. If you have not done a profit and loss statement, you're not able to prove the numbers that you put on that application. It's going to get kicked back. So, the things that you could have done to prepare you to get money, you didn't do it. I'm not talking about you. Someone who did not do that put themselves in a position to lose rather than win because they were trying to save a few $100s.
Your job, like you said, is to help them to keep more money. And so the first round went out. Now, what's going on now with the situation?
Well, they did release a second round, and I understand yesterday I saw on the I was watching the Newsday online, and there were a couple of people from SBA, and they said that the EIDL money, they're not taking any new applications for that because they want to make sure to get through what's in the pipeline, because the pipeline has been backed up from the last round. But the PPP money, some banks are still processing applications because those applications go to the bank, not the SBA. The SBA guarantee the funds, but the bank is the one that's going to approve it. So this is why they're saying go to your lender or your local banker, because they're the ones that are going to make the determination. And that is why there's been so many confusing information out there, because each bank's requirements were a little bit different. Each of their requirement was a little bit different. And they had that right to do that.
So you're helping people. What exactly do they need to apply for a PPP loan? What exactly does a business owner need?
The first thing I would say is ask your bank for their process. Get them to tell you what their application looks like. A lot of it is online, and what the instructions look like. And they will tell you what they need. The last bank that I looked at, which was yesterday, this was Guarantee Bank out of Tennessee, and they were asking for 12 months, last 12 months. They were asking for the 941 to support that, the payroll number on those 12 months profit and loss statement. And if you needed to include this year, then they were asking for the 941 for the last quarter, which would be January to March of 2020.
Now, I'm not a CPA, but what is a 941?
The 940, sorry. The 941 is your payroll report. Every quarter, a company that has payroll has to report to the IRS how much of gross wages they paid out for that quarter. And that number is listed on your 941 report. And so the banks are confident that if you provide that 941, that you report it to the IRS, that is sufficient documentation that those numbers are accurate, because that's the number you're paying tax on. And so if you report something different on your application that's on your 941, chances are they're going to come back to you and ask you to explain it or correct it. I've had a client that had to correct it to what they wanted. And then we later found out that she could have included some payroll tax. But that lender at that time said, no, just your gross payroll. So it depends on the bank. But to answer your question, it is the support for the amount that you report on the application.
And this is why it's you need to have balanced books, I guess, so to speak. For you never know when a situation like this is gonna come up.
This is why, as you operate your business a certain way, so that when an opportunity comes, you're ready. You don't have to go scrambling, trying to put stuff together that you should have been putting together all year long. This is how you're going to win, my business owner entrepreneurs. You have to stay on top of it all year long. So when an opportunity comes, you are ready to jump in. Your paperwork is ready. They tie out, they make sense. You can support your numbers.
And it all comes down to the numbers.
Yes.
So what made you kind of get to this shift? So, and you're helping entrepreneurs now. And is it any type of business that you like helping, or are you good with anybody that is a small business owner that wants to kind of take it to another level?
I specifically want to work with people who are already in business, whether it's a year or 2 years, because you understand where you're struggling. You know where your pain is. For someone who is new in business, they kind of need almost every kind of guidance to operate or just to understand how they should run their business. And so and there are people that do that much better than I do. My focus is, if you're already in business, you already have a product or service, you know who wants it. It could be just a matter, if you're not making money, we may look at your pricing. Or maybe it may be that your cost, you don't quite understand your cost. So I can help someone who's already in business much better than I can help someone who's new to business. Not that I can't give them guidance, but there are other people that can do that. Like Kim does that. Kim Walton in our group, she works with small business owners and she gives them guidance. And then I look at more of the strategy. How are you going to make more money? Because Matt, I am convinced that the only real thing in business is your profit. If you are not making profit, sorry, you're not making money. Unless you're on payroll and you're getting
You're not
your
making profit. It's not a great business, right? So the nice thing, one of the nice things about Donna is that Donna surrounds herself, like you have a team, right?
Yes, I do.
So what does your team look like?
Well, I know one of the things that I need in order to do what I do, I need good, clean numbers. I need accurate numbers. I need to know the numbers are corroborated. They can be supported by either your bank statement, your credit card statements, whatever it is that you do, we start with your numbers. And I work with Kim Walton because Kim is really great at doing the accounting, the bookkeeping, to summarize, first of all, capture it from all sources and then summarize it in a way that I can then take it and analyze it and look at where you're making money, where you're losing money. I compare it to the national average for your industry and see what leaders in your industry are doing and compare your operations to theirs. And then we figure out what the difference is. Because if they're in your geographical area, they're making the same kind of revenue as you are, why are you getting the same kind of profit that they're getting? There's something that's awry, and I help to find out what that is. It could be marketing. It could be that your costs are more than your budget can bear. But we'll figure it out because the goal is to get you to the point where you are making money.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that you actually hold up the mirror to their business to them?
I do. Sometimes it's painful.
Sometimes it can be. Curtis Mullins just checked in.
But you know what? They thank me afterwards because that is what you need. You don't need, there's this thing about not wanting to hurt people's feelings, and I never really want to do that. But in business, I'm just putting the numbers in front of you.
So guys, if you're watching, hit the like button, hit the love button, tag somebody in this that you think could be beneficial, that could benefit from this conversation. I mean, really what Donna does is she helps maximize people's income as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And we tend to be, as people, we tend to be cheap by nature. We want to spend as little as possible and get the most out of it. The thing that people tend to overlook when they do that is by hiring somebody like Donna or somebody else that's similar, a good CPA or accountant or money, as you are a tax strategist, profit and tax strategist, that helps you guys to make more money. So in essence, you kind of pay for yourself, right?
Absolutely. And it brings me to the point that I am actually planning a training. It's a free training on May 7th. And it's entitled, Why Your Profit is Your Business, Not the IRS. Because too often people are focused on minimizing or lowballing their profits so that they can reduce their tax. And taking that approach, you kind of hurt yourself because you are in business to make money. You are in business to generate a profit. And there are ways of minimizing your tax. You will pay some tax if you're making money. And that's the good news. You will pay some tax. But there are ways of minimizing it and protecting it with the right kind of strategy. And I know, Curtis, you're on. You will appreciate that. Don't shy away from profit just so that you can pay less tax. That is not why you went into business. You didn't go into business to compete with the IRS. You go into business to get your dream, to live your dream. And you got to focus on what you need to do to make that happen. And work with someone who can deal with the IRS for you. You just go make your money.
I belong to a Facebook group of loan originators from across the country, and some of them were in there saying, and they're actually bragging about how much money they paid in tax. And it's funny when you're around the right people, everybody's cheering them on, saying, "Wow, they're trying to top each other." And it's like, well, if I'm paying
means
tax,
they're making money.
right, that means that the more tax you pay, the more money you made. And for us, we're W-2, so it's a little different than somebody who's a Schedule C or an S corp. But like you said, the more money you pay in taxes, that means the more revenue you're actually making.
True. But also, if you're a Schedule C, that there are some ways you can reduce your profit on a Schedule C and still have it qualify you for a mortgage, have it be removed to qualify you for a mortgage, like the mileage and the depreciation. So my advice is, if you are planning to buy a home or something where your credit matters or the amount of income you're going to reflect matters, you want to plan that out ahead of time and work with your tax person or work with your mortgage person. They will let you know what your income requirement is, and you work with a good tax strategist. They will help you meet that goal and let you know what are the expenses that can qualify you for a lower tax rate, but also be removed so you qualify for that mortgage. Right, Matt? We've talked about that.
Correct. So what a lot of people don't know is that when we do mortgages, we look at 2 years of tax returns for people who are self-employed. There's also givebacks like depreciation, mileage. And then, it amazes me when I see people that own a rental property and they never take depreciation, because a lot of them are self-preparing their own taxes.
And they make a big mistake because they're thinking that if I don't take the depreciation, then when I sell the property, I don't have to add back the depreciation and end up with a larger gain. But guess what? The IRA does not care whether or not you took that deduction. You got to add it back anyway, because it is depreciation that's allowable. If you choose not to take what's allowable, then it'll still come back to haunt you, because they are going to add back that depreciation on your tax return. So you might as well have taken it and gotten the benefit from it. But this is what happens when you are your own tax preparer and you don't have the knowledge to do it right.
I tell people, just like when they're trying to repair their own credit, I use this analogy. I said, would you operate on yourself? And it's
God
no
forbid.
different. Right. It's no different if you're trying to fix your own credit, if you're trying to do your own taxes. Spend the money. Like if you're doing, once you own a property or a business, you really ought to not be doing your own taxes at that point.
And here's something else you can do, because I've done this with clients. Someone may want to be able to do their taxes themselves because they believe that they have the ability to do it. They just don't have a plan. If you work with someone who can give you a plan that probably could work until your situation changes, then you can have a tax strategy that's been set up for you that will work for you, and you can do your own return if you choose to. But you will know what your deductions are going to be. They will set you up in the right retirement plan or savings account so that you can take those tax breaks. But if you're going to do it yourself, at least know what's available to you. Get someone to give you a plan, make sure you understand it. Or even if you're working with a preparer who they're not at the level where they can do a tax plan or a real strategy for you, but they're good otherwise and you like working with them, don't just keep working with them at the expense of not being able to get what's available to you. Work with someone who can give you a strategy. You understand what you have to do all year long to be able to get those deductions and support it, and then shelter as much income as you can legally and get the benefit. I do them all the time. So have someone do it for you, or you can contact me and I can help you with that too.
Now, here's a great question you just touched upon before. What's the difference between a tax preparer and a CPA?
Oh my God. You know what? Not a whole lot of difference if the preparer goes through the educational requirements. Now the IRS has educational requirements to make sure that people who are holding themselves out as preparers have the knowledge. Now, CPAs have trainings, and we are required to do annual continuing education. And if their lane is, if it's tax, then they're going to make sure they focus more on that. So the difference could be the level of commitment to the knowledge and following through and being held to a higher standard. Because we, as you know, we're all in the banking industry. We could get some serious fines if we do not comply with the IRS guidelines. Or you could be removed from doing that kind of work altogether by the Attorney General in your state. So we're held to a higher standard. But it doesn't mean that those who are preparing are not knowledgeable at the level that they're at. It just means you have to have a conversation. You got to interview them, ask them, what they can do for you, who they've worked with. Are they, do they know how to work with real estate investors? Do they work with someone who has a small business? Whether it's a sole proprietor, whether it's an S Corp, a C Corp, a partnership, or you really have to have the conversation with them to know what their depth of knowledge is and what they can do.
A lot of people think that somebody who does the taxes, like you take it to a different level, being a profit and tax strategist. And what people don't always understand is that that's what you're doing. Like if I have somebody that's doing my tax returns, I want them to be a little more involved and saying with my business and understanding what it is that I'm doing and how I can make more money by doing so.
Absolutely. Because part of the strategy to generate revenue and to optimize your operations is I'm always looking at, if we generate this amount of revenue, how are we going to minimize the tax exposure on it? And so that plan starts from the beginning of the year, and then every quarter or every month, depending on the size of the operation, every quarter, every month, we look at where we are and see what kind of tax compliance issues we're going to have, and if we need to make allowance right now. I met with a client yesterday. We're right where, right at the point where normally we would have made a estimated tax payment. But because we're dealing with this pandemic and her income is reduced, I project that the next quarter we could anticipate a loss, which will wash some of the profit from the first quarter. So I said to her, let's wait until the third quarter before we make an estimated payment rather than making it now. And one other thing I wanted to point out is for those businesses that are receiving PPP money, that is going to be forgivable. That payroll that you are charging against that PPP money cannot be deducted against your regular income because those expenses were removed from your business and being paid for by the government. So you cannot double dip. If you get that PPP money and you put it on and you use it to pay your payroll, it's no longer your cost. So that cost cannot be included on your taxes anymore.
So then they can't actually write it off for that quarter, I guess, or that.
Not the amount that that's been forgiven.
This is interesting. And see, if they're not using somebody like you, they're not going to know these things.
Well, they know when they file their return. And it comes back with a penalty.
Well, you used to be an auditor. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. So you know what they look at and what they look for.
Yeah.
So you're like the perfect person to have do somebody's taxes then.
And that is why right now, if you received money, congratulations. It's a great thing. Do some planning, do some forecasting. Because it is not free money. It's forgivable money, but it's not free money. It's going to come back to haunt you if you don't account for it correctly and you don't show the right documentation. What was forgivable and is not approved as truly being forgiven will become a loan. Now, at that point, when it's a loan, then you can write off the expenses because you're responsible for paying that money back.
Right.
But if it becomes quote unquote free money, then that's not your expense anymore. And so you need to do some planning. If you're going to have profit, because you now have costs that are being removed and you generate enough revenue to show a profit, you need to do some planning because you're going to have a tax liability on that. And if you're a pass-through entity, like a partnership or a subchapter S corporation, that passes through to your personal return, and you now have a personal tax liability that you did not plan for.
Wow. So we had a couple of people jump on. Jason Hall, Michael Basso, he actually owns Dash of Class Entertainment. So he's a business owner. And, you know, the entertainment industry right now, DJs and the wedding business has definitely gotten harder. So, you know, you guys need somebody like Donna because she can look at what you have. She can help you apply for any loans that are out there. She can help get your books in order. And you can also do look backs, right, on the last couple of years to see if there was anything that was overlooked as well, right?
Well, I know that there were, my understanding is they may be reconsidering it, but there is a provision in the CARES Act for net operating loss carryback. So if you had a gain or profit in prior years, I think from 18, and you have a loss this year, you can carry back that loss to the years that you had net income. And whatever tax you paid, it will get adjusted and you will get a refund. But I say that with a caveat because I read somewhere just this morning that they are reconsidering that provision. If it stands, it's an opportunity for businesses that's going to have a loss this year, and they had a banging operation the last couple of years, to have your tax preparer go and do those amended returns, take that loss back so you can get a refund.
Wow. That's a lot of great knowledge that I would not have thought about. So this is why
I'm not.
No, I'm not a profit and tax strategist. So Mike said that's interesting. You know, this is the reason why I wanted Donna to come on, because she's got a lot of value to share for people. And, you know, it's overlooked. Like I said, people go to a basic tax preparer, where you are somebody that works with the business to help maximize their profit.
Yeah.
That is very different than just a regular tax preparer.
Correct. And I call it bankable profit, because until it gets in the bank, it's not your money.
Exactly. So guys, if anybody, we got a couple more minutes. If anybody has any questions, throw them on here. If we don't get to them, Donna can always come back, and we're going to put the link in here as well. This is her, this is the seminar that she said she's going to be doing.
I'm going to be doing a free training so you understand how important profit is to your business, and you do not shy away from it because you're concerned about the tax. I will give you some strategies on how to handle that, and also to truly, truly understand that profit is really the foundation of your business, and you must do whatever you can to generate your profit so that you can have what you went into business to have. If it's more money and freedom, more profit is going to give you that. Get someone to help you deal with the IRS. You don't want to deal with them anyway. I've dealt with them. You really don't want to.
Well, you have the most fun there, that's for sure. So Donna, okay, well, here we go. We've got a question for Mike. Like I said, he owns Dash of Class Entertainment, great DJ company. How will PPP be treated in my case, where I am self-employed as the only employee in his company, because the rest of his people are subcontractors?
That is a great question, because in round one, when it first came out earlier, they did not make provisions for the self-employed individuals. In this, after that, they did. So here's how it works. your Schedule C, if you are a sole proprietor and you file a Schedule C, the net income on your Schedule C, I think it's on line 31, is what is considered payroll for you. If you use your 2019 tax return, or if you haven't yet done your return, you could at least do a profit and loss. Whatever that number is, to make it simple, if your profit is $12,000 for last year, they're going to take the $12,000 divided by 12 months, that's $1,000 per month, multiply that by 2.5 months, that is $2,500. That is going to be your PPP amount. If you file, if you put yourself on payroll and you have W-2, that is also the amount that you will use as a sole proprietor. And one more thing, if you had an employee, let's say one employee that you gave W-2 income to, and then you paid yourself with profit, when you do your application, the amount that you're requesting for payroll is a combination of your W-2 amount and your profit amount. Don't just use the W-2 amount because that excludes yourself. Remember, your profit is your paycheck. So for a sole proprietor, that's the amount you're going to use, your profit. Now, if for the first quarter of this year, you converted yourself to paychecks and filed the proper 941 return with the IRS to show that you are now on payroll, some banks will consider that. And just as a tip, today's the 29th, tomorrow's the 30th, is the last day to submit your 941 return for the first quarter. So you may still be able to get it in and legitimately show that you are on payroll in your company.
He asked, what about his 1099 personal?
1099 is considered a sole proprietor. So the same things would apply. When you do your 1099, chances are you write off, you put your income on Schedule C and you write off your expenses and you're left with profit.
And then
So the same thing will apply.
He said, meaning my subcontractors, because like I said, he has DJs that he's subcontracting.
Whatever you paid out as 1099 is not considered payroll for the purpose of PPP. Because they can go on their own and request the PPP funding. So you're only concerned with your own, what's left for you.
Okay. So Mike, you might want to reach out to Donna or come to her, come to her seminar, her training that she's doing. It's going to be great. I mean, and you're charging how much for this training?
$0.
It's free.
It's a free training.
So share it, bring anybody that you want, register. Donna is a wealth of information, as you can see. I mean, like you guys need to talk to her. And what do you charge to actually do like a consultation with somebody about their business?
The consultation is free also.
Guys, come on here. So you definitely want to reach out to her and speak to her. If you own a business, Mike said right now he can afford that.
You're my kind of guy, Mike.
Yeah, my family has a bridal magazine, and we were dealing with him for years, and this has affected a lot of people. There's no two ways about that.
Seriously.
And we have to get through this. We have to weather the storm. We have to do whatever it is that we can do. And talking to somebody like Donna or a CPA that can do it for you. If you guys have a business, you should have somebody in your corner that can help you with your taxes, because if you're overpaying, that means that you make less profit. So
maybe there are things we can do to minimize what you're paying out.
Yeah. So that's why I encourage anybody to reach out to a professional. You get what you pay for. And with the exception of Donna's free consultation and free training, which there's no value for that to begin with, because it's just worth so much to begin with. But, you ought to have somebody that is a professional for you that can help you with your business. So I encourage you guys to reach out to professionals to do help you. Donna, make sure that you put your contact info in here. If anybody has any questions, like this, love this, share this, tag a business owner in this, because this is the stuff that they need to see. This way they can get their answers, their questions answered on PPP, because obviously you're very well versed in this, a lot more than me, and you also can help them with maximizing their income potential, their revenue, right?
Yes,
Their revenue with their business. So, Donna, I want to thank you for your time. Any last thoughts that you want to share with everybody?
Matt, I want to thank you for putting this forum together, because small business owners and even self-employed individuals need the knowledge. The big businesses and the big guys have it budgeted and can afford it. And some of our small business owners have financial challenges. It does not mean they should not get the knowledge that they need so they can start making the kind of money that they want to make. So I applaud you for making this possible. And I'm really, really glad that I had the opportunity to share what I know.
I appreciate it. By the way, if anybody wants to have Donna speak, she is a very well versed speaker, and you just addressed the National Association of the Women Business
Owners,
NAWBO, as it would be. So she's a very well versed speaker.
If I can add one more thing,
Sure.
Otherwise Rodney will get on my case. I have a book coming out in the fall that I'm writing now called The Price of Fake is Real, how to stop pretending that you're successful and have real business success. And it's really to share my experience in my own business and with others that I've worked with, to show entrepreneurs how they can really be successful and make money. And I'm going to be talking about that wherever I go.
Awesome. Well, make sure you share that with everybody. Like I said, guys, like this, love this, comment. If you have any questions, put them in here, and Donna will come back and answer them. Gareth Farmer just checked in on us. He said, love this. Thank you for watching, Gareth. You guys have met Donna before. So once again, thank you, everybody. You guys have a wonderful day. Connect with Donna. She really is a wealth of information. If you're a business owner, you know a business owner, get them to her, have that conversation, and just, make that money.
Save the date, May 7th at 2 p.m. Put it in your calendars right now, please.
That's right. Go on there. We've got the link in there. Sign up for the free class. Bring somebody. Get another business owner. Come on down and have a great time right from the comfort of your own home, right?
Yes. No traveling required.
Awesome. Thanks, Donna. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.